Hi everyone, it's Eric bringing you a review of Injustice Gods Among Us for the PS Vita. I'm sorry it took so long, but for some reason the developers decided to release this game in the UK 2 weeks after the US, which makes no sense, but what can you do? Now without any further ado, let's get on with the review. Story for this game. The story begins with the League fighting off a bunch of foes whilst Batman takes on Deathstroke. After a successful day of work, they find out that the Joker has planted a nuke in Metropolis. Batman arrives at the scene shortly before other JL members to negotiate with the Joker, but something unexpected happens and they are teleported to an alternate reality where Superman is a deranged ruler. Now I actually have some issues with the story, but due to spoilers I will not be covering them here. But all I will say is that evil Superman is very intimidating and you really don't want to cross this guy. Alright, controls for this game. Now the controls for this game are really quite deep, but I'll just cover the basics and talk about the combos. Now you use the D-pad or analog sticks to move your character around, and then you have your typical light, medium and hard attacks, which are the square, triangle and X buttons. Now you use these in conjunction with the directional buttons in order to pull off combos, and your goal is to juggle your opponent for as long as you can in the air. You will also notice a meter below your health bar in the corner. Whenever you either deliver or take damage, the meter will fill, and if you press the L button in between combos, you will cause extra damage to your opponent. If you let the bar fill, however, you will be able to execute a super move by pressing both the L and R buttons, which will give your enemies a devastating blow. And to use the clash system, you bet a certain amount of your super bar, and if you win, you get some of your health back. If you fail, then you will lose some instead. So that's pretty much the basics. As I said, the controls are very deep and you can be really creative with your combos. Design for this game. Now the visuals for Injustice Gods Among Us for the PS Vita have a lot of mixed reviews, and I would be lying if I said I don't agree with them, but at the same time I think they are being a bit harsh. Let me tell you my first impressions of the graphics. The main menus and character selection screens look amazing. They really look identical to the console versions. The first section of the game I loaded up was the practice session, and I gotta tell you, the graphics looked horrendous. They were very pixelated and it looked like I was watching a 360p YouTube video on my PS Vita. The text was small and everything looked fuzzy, so my first impressions were anything but positive. Now what surprised me was when I had completed the practice segment, then I played my first match and the graphics were astoundingly improved. The character models, both when close up and zoomed out, look better than the ones in Mortal Kombat for the Vita, so it all comes down to personal opinion. But I do have a tip that will make the game look better. Just go into the settings and adjust the brightness and contrast, and you'll be surprised as to how much better the game can look. I personally found the sweet spot and will be sticking to these settings. That being said, I know the graphics could have been better, but on the plus side, the game runs at nice 60 frames per second with only the odd stutter here and there. Bad aspect for this game. Now the graphics in this game I think are great. After you adjust the brightness and contrast they look really good. But I'm not going to deny that they need more polish. The character models look a bit muddy on the edges, and if the game was polished a bit more, then they would have looked completely fine. But that's my main complaint with the game, is that it needs more polish. Also, what's with the unbalanced difficulty with Joker? I mean, when you look at his character, he is not the best of fighters at all, yet he is one of the most frustrating characters out of the entire roster to fight. He just throws everything at you, and that crowbar just gets on my nerves. That also leads me on to the difficulty. Now most players will play this game on the medium difficulty like myself. The main problem with this though is that it seems hard most of the time. This is really noticeable in the single fights mode. Your opponent will block your attack a bit too often and they don't hold back, so the medium level difficulty has balancing issues. Also, what is with the absence of John Jones? He is a playable character but he is not in the story at all. What you do see though in the main campaign is him watching you fight in the Watchtower stage. Dude, get your lazy Martian butt over here and give me a hand. Oh, that's how it's gonna be, huh? Okay then, come here, I wanna tell you something.
I hope you learn your lesson!
I feel better now. Anyway, back to the review. Something else I thought could have been improved was the character's victory animation. I can watch their entrance without issues, but their exits are pretty obnoxious. Now, I have a bone to pick with this game. I think bringing some Teen Titans characters back was a welcome addition and something I really loved. Even bringing the original voice actors from the show to play Cyborg and Raven was awesome. But what the hell did they do to Raven's voice?
You're interrupting tonight's entertainment, Raven.
I detest violence, Luther, but I'm even less fond of you.
I mean, what the hell? Also, I would have liked it if the developers would have included the Titan's Tower as an additional stage to play in. I can just picture it. Imagine fighting and interacting with the environment in the tower.
You'd have this mess cleaned up by now. Name's Cyborg, not Miracle Worker.
That would have been such an awesome callback to the fans of the show. So I'm a little disappointed about that, but at the same time, this is primarily a Justice League game. Now calm down guys, the bad aspect is over and it's time to talk about the really good things about this game. Before we do though, Jean, how are you doing? Look, I know it hurts, but how do you think we felt when you were just watching us getting our butts kicked? Right, good aspect for this game. Let's start with the story. Even though it has its problems, it does a great job of keeping you invested. I found myself playing this game continuously just to see the story unveil before my eyes, and in the end, it was totally worth it.
Green Arrow, what was that? Thunder of the Gods, Flash. Thunder of the Gods. What does that make us? Poor slobs who clean up the mess.
Another thing I liked about this game was the graphics. Now I have already expressed my opinion on the design of the main characters and I haven't changed my mind. What I haven't discussed though is the stages. Never before has a game focused so much on the background. Normally fighting games would just focus on the characters and pay a little bit of attention to the backgrounds. Not in this game. The backgrounds feel alive and add an extra layer of realism and depth to your fights. You can slam your enemies into the backgrounds and even use them to your advantage. One of the most visually rewarding things to do in this game is send your enemies flying to the edge of the screen and watch pure destruction commence. Another awesome thing about this game is the controls. Console games ported over to portable consoles have shown that even if the presentation is the same, that doesn't necessarily mean the controls will be too. They are a separate accomplishment altogether. Luckily, the controls for this game are spot on and as close to the console versions as you could get. There are a couple of buttons missing on the PS Vita, but that doesn't at all ruin the controls. They are still very responsive and offer the same amount of depth as the console versions. I also loved the return of previous Justice League voice actors such as George Newborn as Superman, Susan Eisenberg as Wonder Woman, Carrie Payton as Cyborg, and even Kevin Conroy as the Dark Knight himself. Not only does this give me a sense of nostalgia, but it really makes the dialogue all the more exciting to listen to.
Smile!
I am smiling.
You fight like my grandma!
You fought your grandma?
Also, considering this is the Ultimate Edition, we get all of the unlockable characters and skins. My favourite being the Arkham City pack, which applies to Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. Plus, we have all of the other comic book skins that you would expect. There's also another skin which really took me by surprise. We got a new Green Arrow skin from the hit TV show Arrow. But we don't just get the skin, we also get the voice. That's right, Stephen Amell himself voices Green Arrow in the Arrow skin. That is awesome!
Now that's what I call an entrance.
Arrow Man no hurt Grundy.
Arrowman, yes, hurt. Time for the grand finale.
So in conclusion, this game has amazing gameplay, great story, decent length campaign, acceptable graphics, awesome voice acting, loads of content, and a ton of replay value. So I give Injustice Gods Among Us for the PS Vita an 8.5 out of 10. If you want a quality fighter with all of your favourite DC characters, then you can't do better than this game. Before we say our goodbyes, let's check on our favourite Martian. You doing okay, Jean? It's okay, the Justice League have come to help you out. I hope you've had enough time to think about what you have done. You better be more involved in the next Justice League game. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching my review, and tell me, was I being too harsh on our Martian friend? Was it justice or injustice? I'm sorry! Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see all of you next time. Take care.
Soon, but think you'll ever love again? Maybe you won't kill your next family.